Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining our webinar today on how to grow your summer donations with the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. My name is Jen Newcomb Trinidad and I'm with the marketing team here at CanadaHelps, and I'm joined today by my colleagues Angela Kostenko, who's the VP of Marketing, and Marko Miketic from the Charity Engagement team. He's the Senior Charity Engagement Representative. And there they are on the screen. Angela's going to be walking through campaign tips and tactics, and Marko is going to take you through some CanadaHelps product features that you can use to help with your campaign. But before we jump in, just want to go through some quick housekeeping slides. So before we jump into the presentation, we would like to express and acknowledge that our team at CanadaHelps is grateful to have the opportunity to meet and work on many Indigenous homelands across Canada. As settlers on these lands, we acknowledge that our Vancouver offices are located on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people. The Montreal offices are located on Kanien'kehá:ka Mohawk territory, and the land on which we're operating and broadcasting from in Toronto today is the traditional territory of the Wendat, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We want to express our respect for the territories we reside in and honor the diverse Indigenous peoples who have lived and worked on this land historically and presently. And the staff and leadership at CanadaHelps are committed to being active participants in reconciliation. We are committed to continue amplifying the voices of Indigenous peoples and learning how our work affects Indigenous peoples across Canada. And a little bit about CanadaHelps for those of you joining us for the first time. Welcome. CanadaHelps builds innovative technology that empowers all charities to easily fundraise online, as well as connects all Canadians to give to the charities and causes they care about. For charities, we offer open access to our full suite of affordable online giving tools with full donor information, and we also provide educational resources like this webinar so you can better understand your donors and steward them along their journey. And for your donors, we have offered a convenient, safe, and trusted destination for donating to and fundraising for all registered Canadian charities for 20 years. And to date, over 3 million Canadians have donated over $1.7 billion through CanadaHelps, and more than 24,000 charities across Canada rely on CanadaHelps fundraising tools to build capacity. That's just a bit about us. Some webinar reminders. So if you're having trouble hearing us, please try turning up your computer's volume. You can do that by clicking on Sound Check under your GoToWebinar audio panel and selecting the speakers that you want, and adjusting the speaker tab to the far right for maximum volume. And for the best webinar experience, we recommend that you close all other applications. And we'll email you the links to the webinar recording and slides within the next 24 hours after this ends. And please note that you can hear us, but we can't hear you. If you have any questions, just type them into the questions log of your GoToWebinar panel at any time. And there's a Q&A portion at the end of this webinar, and we can take your questions and answer them then. So without further ado, I shall hand it off to Angela to get us started.
Thanks, Jen. So today we're here to talk about the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. So that starts on June 1st and continues for the entire month of June. And really what I'm hoping we can cover today are some ways that really can help you raise more during the month of June. So before we get into more detail, I want to start with a question, a poll. So my first question, the question for everyone here, thinking about campaigns or tactics that you've tried in the past, what's worked for you when it comes to driving donations and raising revenue? I think Jen has a poll for you. So, you know, some of the options might be something like telling a great story. Maybe it was an incredibly urgent request that helped you raise the most, match or incentive. Maybe there was a campaign that focused on your donors promoting for you, or maybe it was just all about connecting your gift to impact. So I think you can choose all that apply if multiple ones have worked for you. But I'd love to hear a little bit about what's worked for the attendees today. Okay, Jen, as I was talking, I'm sure people had enough time to vote. Why don't you share the results? All right. So this is great. There's a bunch of people who have said telling a great story worked, connecting your gift to impact. Smaller amounts said match or incentive or urgent request, but still 1 in 10 people found that effective. And then your donors promoting for you, edges that out just slightly. So the lead into this all is that, sorry, can you give me the screen back, Jen? Thank you. The lead into that all is that the Great Canadian Giving Challenge can really give you a platform to do a lot of those things. It can help you tell a great story about your mission. You can use it to create a sense of urgency to give before a deadline. It can provide an extra incentive, especially for those of us who have trouble getting matches or sponsorships to provide that incentive. It does provide something. You can encourage your donors to share. It's a great reason to do that. You can connect it to the impact your charity makes. And really, I mean, what's one of the most effective things about it is it gives you just a reason to ask. It gives you a reason to start those conversations with your donor. So for those of you who haven't read the emails, a little bit about our giving challenge. So at the heart of it, Great Canadian Giving Challenge is a contest. It's hosted by CanadaHelps, and everyone who participates has a chance to win $20,000. Happens during the month of June, and every $1 enters your charity for a chance to win. So $1 is a chance to win. And the more you raise, pretty obviously, the more chances your charity has to win. And then on July 1st, one randomly selected ballot wins the $20,000 prize. How does it work? No need to register. As a registered Canadian charity, you're already eligible. And all one-time and monthly donations during the month of June using CanadaHelps, one of the CanadaHelps tools, gives your charity a chance to win. While we definitely hope you use our tools year-round, even if you don't use our tools on a regular basis, you can either create a custom donation form or use one of these other tools for just the month of June. And even more good news, if you have donors or supporters that prefer to give through CanadaHelps.org, so not directly through your website, they also enter you to win when they make a donation on CanadaHelps.org. A bit about the contest and when it's achieved. Last year in 2020, we raised $27 million for charities across Canada. There's over 220,000 donors and over 15,000 charities qualified. Last year was a huge increase from the year before. And a bit of good news, I hear from people occasionally that they don't want to participate because they don't think they'll have a strong chance of winning. And I'll tell you, the last few years, the charities that won weren't necessarily huge fundraisers. They definitely got more than a couple of donations, but we're not talking about just the large charities winning. Charities of all sizes and kinds have won the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. And the one thing we really, really, really can't stress enough is the Great Canadian Challenge is about way more than just winning the prize. We've found, a number of charities have found that just promoting the challenge is an opportunity to drive more donations, engage with your donors more. That's the real opportunity we try to provide with Great Canadian Giving Challenge. And yes, the $20,000 is an excellent extra incentive, but it's really all about making a case and creating a great campaign. So what are some of the kind of main components, as I see it, for GCGC success? So these are the things I've seen other charities do, both for GCGC and just campaigns in general. I'd say it kind of comes down to three main aspects. As much as possible, we need to make it easy for your donors, you need to make it matter for your donors, and you need to compel them to act, make it compelling. So in terms of making it easy, pretty simple stuff, but why are they donating? How the challenge works. And a really important thing is, win or lose, their support is important. Make that really clear and easy. And make it easy to help. Make sure your donate link is easy to find. As much as possible, reduce the clicks between your ask to the donation form. If you can send someone directly to a donation form after you make your case, often that's the best strategy. And make it easy to share. Make it easy for your donors to kind of do some work on your behalf. Some tips to make it matter. Most of you are probably experts in this in some way because it's all about your cause and all about your charity. But don't forget to do this during the contest. You probably do this in all of your direct appeals anyways. But things like stories from your beneficiaries, stories from your staff or volunteers. Tell your supporters about the challenges you're facing and how they can help. You can share impact, both positive and sometimes it doesn't hurt to include a little bit of the negative impact. Without your help, we couldn't do what? There's often a very powerful story there. And as much, if you can, get tangible, 1,000 trees planted. But can you also connect that tangible impact to a big picture impact? What do those 1,000 trees mean for your community or for the environment? And always, always, always what your donor can do to help. And in terms of making it compelling, part of that is, that making it matter piece. But another part is helping them understand that they're part of something. Invite them to join others. Invite them to join your mission. Give them a goal. Give them updates on that goal. Really create urgency, especially as you reach the end of the month. You can use the contest itself to create urgency. You can also use your impact to create urgency. This help is needed to do X before, it's too late, or before next month, or whatever it is. So how do we connect these to your strategies to drive donations? Again, some of this is stuff many of you have tried before. So these are just prompts on how to include it in your Great Canadian Giving Challenge strategy. But be, again, connecting it back to creating a strong ask. Be specific and show impact. Set a campaign goal and connect that goal to impact. What will happen if your campaign reaches $10,000 or $50,000 or whatever number you're going for, $5,000? Be specific with your asks as much as possible. Tell them what their donations will help you achieve. And tell them what $20,000 will achieve for your charity. That can be a huge impact on a community, on a cause, or something that your supporters care about. So making that part easy, whether you use CanadaHelps typically use another donation form, but always suggest gift amounts on your donation form if you can. And if possible, if you have that story to tell, connect each suggested ask to an impact they can help achieve. Other ways to make it easy and compelling can be something as simple as an infographic or a photo to demonstrate the impact. So another way to create a strong ask is to tell a story, to make it personal. Feature a letter from a beneficiary or participant. Include quotes or a testimonial in your ask and on your campaign page. Consider a video. Have staff, volunteers, or participants tell your story, and even make the ask directly in that video. Have a participant ask your donors to help. Ask your donors to support the charity, or your staff, or your volunteers. So you make it easy. This one's pretty obvious, but include a link directly to your form. Again, try to keep that experience as tight as possible. Don't make them look for it. And then make it compelling. Brand and customize the imagery and the copy on your form to reinforce whatever the story was from your ask. So at this stage, I'm going to turn it over to Marko, who's going to talk to you a little bit about customizable donation forms.
Thank you very much, Angela, and thank you for the introduction, Jen. So I'm Marko. Hi, everybody. Thank you for your time today. I'm going to be talking a bit about some of the CanadaHelps tools that are in your account that could help your chances to win for the Great Canadian Giving Challenge, the grand prize. So I'll be walking you through the back end of some of the CanadaHelps tools and kind of some best practices that you can follow. So I'll mostly be focusing on the features. And thank you again, Angela. That was very helpful, and thank you for sharing the story. So some of the features that you can use in your donation forms. You can have custom amounts. You can have custom thank you emails, and we'll get into all of these. So I'm not going to bother going through each of these. I'm going to actually start off with the back end of the CanadaHelps account. So this is our main menu. So on our portal here, you have every registered charity in Canada. And when you log into your CanadaHelps account, we grant you access to 3 fundraising tools. And as well, you can make changes to your profile on our portal. And you actually have the option to add a campaign page. So the reason that this is important is because if you are creating a donation form, which I'll get into in a second, I promise, you can echo that on the CanadaHelps portal. So, for example, if you add a campaign, this could look something like the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. And if you go into Discover, you can actually browse those charity campaigns. and those will be searchable. So those just increase your chances to win and to ultimately kind of spread your message as to why it would be important for you to win. And just to kind of transition as well, actually back into the main menu here. So these are the 3 different fundraising tools that I'm primarily going to be focusing on today, and donation forms is the first one. So I love these forms because of how many organizations they help any way that they can. I'm part of the engagement team, so more often than not, I'm just reaching out and offering my support and sharing information about these 3 tools. So the donation forms, what you can do with the donation forms is you can create multiple of them. You can embed them on your website. You can link people to them. You can use them for your campaigns. So where I'm going to go first is the Kids Eat Smart Foundation website. And the reason I'd like to just show this first is because they follow all, like their website has all the best practices kind of on point. So what's really great about this is they have a bright donate button, a clear call to action, a scrolling header so that button's always visible. And it's just easy to navigate. And so just wanted to show kind of what a website looks like that's following the best practices. And so what I've done is I've actually created a donation form, just kind of like a test form to show you all what you can do with it. So the reason I transitioned from the PowerPoint is just because I just was hoping we can kind of go through an actual form itself, and I can kind of show you some ways that you can ultimately kind of share more information, gather more information from your community, and ultimately inspire people to give. So this is a form that I created. So you can see here that this form is linked. You can embed this form. And so this form is linked. And so what that means is it has its own URL. And there's actually space here for some information about the campaign. So like I mentioned earlier, you can create multiple versions of your donation forms. And you can actually link them to different funds. So when you're in your CanadaHelps account and you go into donation reports and you pull that information, you'll actually be able to see exactly, which fund and which form that support was going through. So in this case, we've created a unique form for the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. And if we go into our CanadaHelps account, we'll be able to pull that information and see exactly who's been supporting and see how much support we received. Another great thing about this form is the fundraising progress bar, and I really love this. It inspires me. When you see how close you are to the total, I think it inspires a lot of other people as well. And so this is one of the versions of our donation form. This is called our full form. And what's great about this is that if you just scroll through this form and kind of select, kind of your preference, you can just complete the form without having to click too many times. So just kind of going down underneath the funds raised, we could see here that we have some custom amounts, and we also have these impact statements underneath these amounts that just kind of allow people to know exactly where their support is going. And these are really impactful. So as you can see here for $20, and again, this is just an example, but this will provide breakfast to one person for a week. And the different amounts have different impact statements, and the form is fully customizable, meaning that you can change the colors of the form with the colors of your website so that it would match. And then as well, if we're just going down here, what another great option is that you can actually toggle this on where people can opt into your mailing list. So when you download that donation report, you're also able to see who actually has provided their consent to be part of your mailing list. So this is an option that if somebody's making a donation, they'll be able to see, that they have the option to opt into the mailing list, and then they can just select it, and then you'll get the information. And then from there, you can, dedicate this form to someone, and kind of furthermore. So that's kind of the donation form that's linked, and that's just one that I created for fun. And so let's take a look at the Kids Eat Smart Foundation form here. And what's really great about this is that it actually is embedded into a website. So in this case, you have everything here that was similar with the form that I did, except that it's actually hosted on there. So you can see that it's part of the Kids Eat Smart URL. Of course, this is just their general donation form, but like I mentioned earlier, you can create multiple versions of these forms. And you can go into your donation reports and see exactly which forms receive which support. So that's the donation form. I've got another great example here. This is the Guelph Humane Society, and what they've done is they've embedded the form as well, and they've customized it for the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. And I love their I just love everything about this. But what's awesome that's different that I hadn't shared in my example and the example on Kids Eat Smart is this lovely cover image. It just kind of pops out. It just grabs your attention. It's on the website. Again, it's part of it's embedded, and you can make a donation similar to the other forms that we were looking at, but they've added this lovely cover image that I was just hoping to show. So yeah, that's a bit about the donation forms, and so if you go into your CanadaHelps account, again, you click onto charity account. This will bring you to your main menu. You have access to the different fundraising tools. And then if we scroll down, we can create a new form. We can edit existing forms by clicking on that pencil. We can grab the line of code, copy and paste it into the website, and the URL is just right there. If we just select that option, we can copy this link and share it in our email campaigns or link people to it from our website. So what I'll do is I'll go into the example that I created, and I'll click on the pencil because that will just show how to, that will actually just show the different tabs that are available to you. So if you did want to make changes, this is where you'd be able to. So we try and just keep things as simple as possible. I would encourage you all to, if you have access to these fundraising tools, if you're registered with CanadaHelps, to go into your account, to have a look. They are fairly intuitive, and then if you're not registered with CanadaHelps, I would encourage you to reach out because these tools are very helpful. And so, just to kind of quickly go through some of these, your general settings. This is where you can select the different fund and link it to that form, or where you can leave an option to have a list of funds where people can select the fund when they're donating through the form. And this is where you can create that fundraising progress bar and select if you want that form to be dedicated for one-time donations or monthly donations. So really, this is just kind of the back end, and all the changes that you would make in the back end would actually appear on the front end of the form as well. So if you've actually embedded the form into the website and you make changes into the back end, those changes will actually be made on the website. So once it's embedded, you can go in here, make changes, and then again, you can create multiple different forms and really have at it. And another great thing about these forms is if you're trying to gather more information from the generous support from your generous supporters, you can actually include custom questions at the bottom of the form. And so if we take a look at the Kids Eat Smart Foundation website very quickly, we could see at the bottom of their form that they actually have a custom question, and it's kind of like you would type in the answer, and so you can really ask whatever question you'd like. Where you would do that is in the back end of your CanadaHelps account, under donation forms, under that pencil, and so you would go into other customizations, and then there you could see you can select the different question type that you'd like to receive the answer from. So really, the backend is very intuitive, and so there's a lot of different options that you can toggle on and off. But yeah, this is also where you can enable that option for that mailing list, and you can also collect phone numbers. So if you're really trying to gather a lot more information, this is where you can go and toggle some of those options on and off. And then from there, you have the option to change those donation amounts that are present on the front end of the form, and you have the option to add custom email messages. So in this case, this is that example that I created. So if someone were to make a donation through that form, then they would receive an automatic thank you, and this is what it would look like. And you can do the same for your monthly donors as well, which I haven't included, but you can do the same. And then the brand form is really where you can kind of dress the form up. I'm not going to spend too much more time on the back end here, but you have an option to add your own e-cards and to keep track of some more analytics. So that's kind of the donation form. Thank you all very much for your time and for listening. I'll be back shortly, and I'll be talking about a little bit about our peer-to-peer tool in a little bit. But this is actually the slide that I skipped earlier. It just kind of echoes what I showed initially about creating your campaign page on the portal. So, you know, the donation forms are primarily for, you know, your website or for your email campaigns. But if you still wanted to have a presence on the CanadaHelps portal, you certainly can add a campaign to that as well. So Angela, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring it back over to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds great. And there you go.
All right. Thanks, Marko. And just one thing, as Marko's talking about, during the month of June, obviously, you'll be going out to your supporters and asking them to donate. But we'll also be going out on CanadaHelps and telling all of our list of donors and people who've once donated through CanadaHelps about the campaign. So we also encourage people on our list to go to the website to find their favorite charity or to browse campaigns such as the ones you might be creating, like Marko just walked you through. So moving on, a couple of things I think that the Great Canadian Giving Challenge gives you a great opportunity to do. It's a real chance to use the challenge to leverage your supporters' passion and their network. We all know that we have some super fans out there, some super supporters who will be there to promote and share what you do no matter what. So definitely take advantage of those people that are already your super fans. But don't be afraid to ask and remind people to share on your behalf. Not everyone will think about it, but if you tell them, you know, every share matters. You can't, if you can't give this month, please share. It gets your name, your charity, your cause in front of many more people, and really increases your chance to win, as well as drives those donations for your charity, which is what really matters. If you have any influencers who might be a supporter, whether they're the really big influencers, we can't all get the Ryan Reynolds of the world, but maybe there's a local community activist who loves what you do, or some other celebrity has taken a shine, ask them. The worst they can do is say no, and you can reach many more people. And don't forget your staff. They also can be wonderful supporters. Ask staff and volunteers to add a link to their email signature. All of these small things add up and just has more people finding out about your campaign. How do you make it easy? Provide the links in the sample copy in your emails, on your campaign pages, in your social post itself. Tell them, ask your supporters to share this post. A little tip that not everyone knows about is if you have a Facebook page and someone who likes a post is a member of your already following you, there's a little feature that allows you to invite someone to follow you if you're logged in under your page. We even do that at CanadaHelps, and it helps grow our follower list. So don't forget about that little tool if you don't know about it. But other ways you can really enable sharing is after a donation, make sure there's a link to share, especially if someone's taken the time to donate. It's the perfect time. That happens to be built right into the CanadaHelps forums, but if you're ever fundraising away from CanadaHelps, which we hope you don't, make sure you're using a tool and taking advantage of this sort of thing as well. I really just want all of you to be as successful as possible. And so how do you make it matter? I kind of already said this, but tell them it can help you win. Tell them it can help you reach your goal. Be really direct. It seems obvious to us often, but it's not always as obvious as you think. So definitely be as direct as you can. So another thing you can do to really drive donations during the month of June is do something to make it a competition. So this itself can really help make it more compelling to make people participate. So some of the ways you can do that, you can use our P2P platform to encourage third-party or team-based fundraising. Right in our platform, we have built that the top fundraising team, you can share the top fundraising teams, the top fundraising individuals, and get a bit of a competition going. You can create a bit of an informal competition for shares or for other sorts of things. And you can, if you can, consider some sort of a prize, or you could consider recognition. Recognize your super fans, your super supporters in your newsletter or anywhere that makes sense for your charity. So make it easy. It's really about creating that platform. It could be using P2P or just creating some sharing during on your social channel. But then give each of your fundraisers tips on success. Give them a couple of things they can do. Give them graphics they can share. Give them a quote. Like just make it as simple as possible so they can tell your story. Tell your story well. Make it compelling. During the competition, you can send weekly updates. You can increase the urgency near month end. And the making it matter kind of ties back to a lot of the original things we were talking about, but including those stories from beneficiaries. Can you connect it back to impact? Maybe you'll even have ex-participants or ex-beneficiaries competing if you have if your charity is the kind that has those sorts of participants. So at this juncture, I'm going to hand it back over to Marko, who's going to walk you through our through the CanadaHelps peer-to-peer tool and how you can use that to fundraise.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. Okay, so the peer-to-peer. Yeah, I love this. I love this tool. It's for your walkathons, runathons. It's a third-party fundraising tool. I think just seeing different campaigns, it really brings people into your orbit because you have people like sharing this, with their communities, and you can share it through social, and there's potential for like quite a large reach of people, and it's great. And I'm excited to be talking with you all about it today. So this is a peer-to-peer that I created just in the back end, just for some fun, just to kind of show you some of the kind of features of the actual tool itself. So the first thing is that you can embed it, but you can also share the link. So same goes for all of our tools. And so what I'll just focus on right now is I'll just kind of go through the different features one by one. The first one is this cover image. So you have plenty of room for an image. This is a great place to add your sponsor logo, really whatever you want. You can also customize the colors of the tool with the colors of your website, or really whichever colors you prefer. And another great thing is, it's for a campaign. So you can have an end date. You don't necessarily have to have it exactly on June 3rd. You can have it run for the year. But in this case, because it is a Great Canadian Giving Challenge, we can see that the campaign ends on June 3rd. And we can see again that there's a fundraising progress bar, and there's this section to share through social. So in this example that I created, I just really wanted to keep it simple because I wanted to spend time on another charity that's using our peer-to-peer. So we'll jump into that example next. But just really quickly, if you wanted to create a team or a participant page, this is the tool that you can do it. In this example, I just created an option for fundraisers. So pretty much, if I were to use this tool, I would ask my friends if they would like to participate, and if they would like to participate, they could create fundraising pages, and so they would each have their profiles, and then they could share those profiles within their communities, and they can make those profiles unique. So they can share description as to why this campaign is really important to them, and so people would donate to their profile, and then that donation to that profile would ultimately help the overall fundraising goal. So I just added a little bit about the campaign. We could see that there's a pretty large prize, to say the least. Yeah, ultimately we just want to have fun with this. And then there's a section for like an image carousel, which you can add plenty more images. I just added this one. I just thought it was a great image. And then there's a section for supporters wall where people can decide to remain anonymous or not. And similar with the donation form, you can actually add these impact statements as well. So if I want to just make a donation, I can see the different amounts and kind of where those amounts will lead. And with all the CanadaHelps tools, if you're in the CanadaHelps account and you go into donation reports, that's really where you'd be able to pull that information and see where that support came from, essentially. And so yeah, that's kind of those are kind of the main features that I wanted to talk about. Now I'm going to go and show you an example that I'm really excited to share. I just think that they've done such an awesome job. So this is the Elder Care Foundation of Ottawa, and what they've done is they've actually created their own landing page for their peer-to-peer. What's interesting is that it's in June, and everybody, I think it's a great time to do like a third-party campaign because it's a summer. There's a lot of great things that you can do. Your walkathons, runathons, people can do them, safely. They can do them in their own space. And so what they've done is, they've created their own page, and of course you can register as an individual in this case or as a team. So if I go to register, this is the peer-to-peer that they've created, and so what I really also love about this is this cover image, so when we're looking at this, they actually have teams and participants. So in the example that I created, there was just a fundraising page where you can just have individuals join. In this case, this is more of it's kind of a larger reach. You can join a team, you can create a team, and you can join as an individual. So that's how it differs from the example that I showed. And then of course the colors are a little bit different. Campaign's obviously totally different, but they've included plenty of information about theirs. And what's really cool about this is if I go into teams, I can see all the different teams, and I can see, for example, who actually makes up this team. So if I go to, I don't know, let's see, CIBC, let's see if I go into this page, I can take a look at, why this campaign is important to this team. I can see the people, I can see the supporters wall, whoever wanted to, share that they've supported. You can see, you can make a donation on their team page. And then as well, I can go into this team members option, and I can see the people that actually make up the team. So that's kind of the system where that's kind of the purpose of the tool is just to kind of have people have their own pages that they're personalized, that they can share within their community. So obviously, if I am part of this team, I'm going to share my profile with my friends. And if I just wanted to make a donation to that page, I certainly could. So if I was a friend of that person that created the page, if that makes sense. So that's the peer-to-peer fundraising tool. Very simple. It's great to share. You can really kind of take it. You can really take it to the next level. Sharing it within the communities and having people fundraise on your behalf for that campaign goal. And yeah, you can embed it. You can link people to it. And ultimately, if you're in your CanadaHelps account, you can make changes to it, even though it might be live. So if I go into peer-to-peer, P2P, just right beside donation forms, I can take a look at, let's find the example that I made. Let's see. So if I go into, the pencil, you can make those changes. Embed is where you can be able to grab that line of code. This is where you can manage the participants. So if I just quickly go into edit, not to take up too much more time, I can make those changes, to the about section of the campaign on the front end. I can, decide who I want to grant access to, and all this sort of great stuff. I can link it to a fund. So if I'm in donation reports, I could see exactly, where, who's supported and where that support's going to. And really, this is just kind of, housekeeping and just creating those participant pages and adding those images and kind of making the form colorful. So, very, 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 honestly, very intuitive. If you're in the back end, if you have some time, I would just recommend you all to just, if you have some time to create one yourselves and see how easy it is, because ultimately, if you're just kind of in the back end, nothing's going to happen unless you actually make it live. So, yeah, I would just say if you have some time, have some fun. But that's where you'd be able to make the changes to the peer-to-peer tool. So yeah, the final thing that I just really quickly wanted to say is about our ticketed events tool. So with the events tool, if donations occur through CanadaHelps, you have it in the month of June, you have a chance of winning that grand prize. So with the ticketed events tool, what you can do is you can sell tickets, you can issue split tax receipts, you can issue post-event tax receipts, and you can offer multiple different ticket types. So if I can just find this example that I created, this is just another fun example where I've customized the colors, to the Great Canadian Giving Challenge, and then you can see the different ticket types that are available and the different prices. So in the back end of the account, you can determine if you want to, split the tax receipting or if you want the tax receipts to be issued post-event. And then, of course, you have the progress section here where you can see how many days there are kind of left to buy and kind of see how much support you received and kind of share it with the people that would land on this page. And, with all of our tools, you have the section to add more information about the campaign and obviously some space to add some images and kind of bring some emotion out of people, and obviously this little section for some details, that kind of some final words of encouragement, and as well, just final piece is just sharing it on social media. Just use social media, and it's such a great reach there, and with the time that with the times that we're in right now, it's just such a great way to reach people and to kind of build your community that way. So yeah, thank you very much, Angela. If you don't mind, again, I'm going to bring it over back to you.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thanks, Marco. So I have to say, one of the things that's not so hidden in some of the things that Marco and I have mentioned, even if you're not actively promoting Great Canadian Giving Challenge, any donation, any ticket sale is actually eligible. We think you'll be way more successful if you tie it to Great Canadian Giving Challenge, but just in case that is a question anyone has, all donations through CanadaHelps.org are eligible. So what's the last thing that we can do? The last thing that, another thing that's worked for a number of charities is generating media buzz. I think a lot of charities kind of might shy away from this. It feels really difficult, or it can feel like you need to have some sort of special expertise in order to do this. Like something I've heard from people. But really, it doesn't have to be that difficult. Local outlets are often looking for content. They're looking for stories. They're looking for, both good news and some of the alarming or not necessarily bad news, but stories that will get people to act or get people interested. And it's not as difficult as you think. Really, especially with local outlets, it's really researching the right contacts. It's really easy to do on the internet these days. Familiarize yourself a little bit with their work. And then write a little pitch. So after the webinar, we're going to provide a tip sheet and a sample pitch that you might choose to use. And we hope you participate in Great Canadian Giving Challenge. But if you don't, still take a look at it. You can use it in some other campaign possibly. But really, the key things here is give a little bit of background on your charity. If this is for the challenge, give some background on the challenge. And give some tangible details of what your charity is contributing to the community or the issue that this journalist cares about. If it's a local paper, obviously you can tie it into your community. If it's something a little bit more niche, like a publication that does things around animals, for instance, because I see the Edmonton Journal example right there, make it connect to what the journalist is interested in if you can. And then really just provide the details, what the funds you raise will help do. And the symbols following up 1 to 2 days later. And then if you are lucky enough to get a media interview, provide a few talking points. I think there's sometimes a bit of fear with talking to media. I know the first time I talked to the media, I was a bit nervous myself. They're not typically out to get you, especially if they're following up on a pitch like this. They're not going to try to catch you like you see on TV. So just have your few talking points and be ready. And as you can see from these two examples, these weren't necessarily huge charities getting featured in these papers. The Mustard Seed is definitely an established charity, but it's not just the really big ones that can get featured. So don't be afraid to reach out to media. So as I said, to make it easy, we have a pitch template that you might want to take advantage of, as well as more tips, some more detailed tips. We'll share that after the webinar. And then really to make it compelling, as I already mentioned, play the local angle, connect it to impact, tell a story. Just do what you can to make the journalist's job as easy as possible. They want a good story, so if you can, give them one. That's all I have for today. I think we're going to go into some questions, but really what I want to say is, remember, every donation through CanadaHelps is a ballot, and every donation is a chance to win, but the real benefit of Great Canadian Giving Challenge is a platform, that reason to reach out to your donors. So we'll have some important links you can also access afterwards. We have the media pitch template, and then we've created an entire challenge resource center on the website. It has tips, some templates, some sample images you could use, and I think it'll be helpful if you want some inspiration to promote your challenge. And now it's time for the questions. Jen, I think you probably have collected some throughout the webinar.
Yes, I have. There are quite a few. And folks, just send us your questions. We'll try to get through as many as possible. I have a few to start here, Angela. Here's a big one. What should be the one highest priority for a small first-time participant? Any recommendations?
I mean, I think really it's about connecting your challenge participation to your impact, I'd say, as much as possible. If we're asking about tactics or more on that side of things, honestly, emails probably, in my experience, is straightforward, but also not super costly for most of us. And so I would just ask. I mean, it's about asking. It's about creating a story. And I think making it as digestible as you can, say like one email at the beginning of the month, one email near the end of the month, and a few social posts. I'd really just, my typical advice for anything that's new is just start somewhere. Start where you can. No one's going to have the biggest, best campaign the first time out, so start with where you can.
Great. Thank you. I have another question for you here. You touched on this earlier, but I think it's worth people hearing it again. I am launching a fundraising campaign at the same time as the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. Do you recommend me to participate anyway?
Personally, I think, without knowing the details of your individual campaign, I think it is worthwhile considering it. I think it's worthwhile because it's that extra incentive to donate. Depending on how you're otherwise positioning your campaign, you could either make it central. Like if you're running a campaign for a specific cause or a specific ask or a specific thing, make the Great Canadian Challenge a key part of it. If your fundraising campaign is a little bit more in depth or a little bit complicated or it's a bit more difficult to tie in, I might just do it with as simple as a message at the bottom that's plus every donation is a chance to win. I think that's really up for each individual charity and campaign to decide, but I think it's at least worth a PS, a plus message at the bottom of of your email, of your social, of your whatever, because I don't think it would ever hurt. Again, without knowing all of your details, that's my best answer.
Thank you. I have a question here about matching. See if I can pull it up. So we have a matching donor for up to a total of $10,000 during this campaign. What's the best way to do this? Have the match done on June 30th so that they will contribute to the number of entries for the prize?
If they are donating through CanadaHelps, and absolutely, ask them to process that donation during the month, as long as it's between June 1st and June 30th. Absolutely, that you can get a little bit of an extra benefit that way.
Great, thank you. Let's see if I can find another one here. This one's for Marko. I'm going to throw it over to Marko. How often do you provide training on how to set up your CanadaHelps website? So anything your charity engagement team can recommend, Marko?
Thank you, Jen, for the question or for sharing that question, and thank you very much for the question. I think it's just, I mean, we try and do it as much as we can. So really, it's just a case by case. There are so many resources on Canada, CanadaHelps webinars that are recorded, and there's a help portal. But really, for myself personally, I always encourage anyone to schedule some time, and we can kind of go through things over Zoom or however really they'd like. But our team's always willing to help. I know because I'm very lucky to work with such wonderful people. And yeah, so I would just say regularly, but I don't know if I would consider it training. It's just more kind of, just kind of sharing information and just kind of going about it like
that. Thank you, Marko. I'll keep it on you for now. A question about P2P. Can a third party register its own teams and open page, or do we have to do it for them as the charity?
Yeah, so thank you very much for the question. Thank you for sharing the question, Jen. Yes, so it depends on that charity's preference. So really, it's up to the organization if they want people to create teams or participant pages. So in the case that they would just want people to create teams and then have people make up those teams, then they can just toggle that option on in the back end. And then so if you remember looking at that example with the teams and the participants, the Elder Care Foundation of Ottawa, they enabled both of those options. So in that case, third parties can create their own teams and participants can make up those teams. And then often those participants would just share that team page. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to jump back to Angela. Angela, this question is, in direct mail, the best practice is to put the donation dollar amounts in descending amounts. Is there any best practice you can share for the donation forms on the websites in regards to donation dollar handles?
Yeah, I think what I've seen in terms of success in tests, it's actually been the opposite. I think it's something that may differ somewhat for different charities, but I think typically it starts with the low value and goes higher. What I will say is some of the tips that I've seen and heard and believe and through the data is you really want one low amount and you want your second amount to probably be a stretch above the average, and then you really want to go from there. Some of the things I've seen perform the absolute best on e-commerce, on the e-commerce side of things, is giving the tangible impact. I've seen that have huge results with those suggested amounts. So I would say no matter what you choose, I would always include those if your charity is able.
Thank you, Angela. I think I'm going to do two more questions if that's okay, and that they are surrounding donations still. This one is, I work for a senior center organization and they are often hesitant to donate online, the older generation. Is it okay to collect cash donations and then at the end of the month donate it for the cash donors? So talk about offline amounts maybe?
Marko, do you want to talk about how the offline works? I don't think the offline donations, actually I don't think I've ever been asked this question, so I don't know if Marko knows the answer. But I'm not sure that offline donations would technically count. If someone were to make the donation through the form, that will count. But I don't believe if you entered it as an offline donation, it wouldn't be counted because it doesn't technically go through CanadaHelps. Actually, sorry, Marko, I threw it to you and then answered it anyways, because I think that's probably that's the case.
Thanks, Angela. So another one on donation eligibility. Is every donation a ballot or is it every dollar a ballot? Just to clarify.
Every dollar. Every dollar is a ballot to win. So if you looked at the numbers previous, so if your charity raises $10,000 in the month of June, that's 10,000 ballots.
Great, thank you. I think we could sneak in one more. question here,
if
you two don't mind. Yeah. I've got one here. Concerning media buzz, what do you think is the right type of advertising, particularly for organizations with underdeveloped messaging?
So in terms of advertising, if we're talking about kind of like the paid advertising, that kind, without knowing more about your messaging, I'm going to answer fairly generally, but I would tie it to what a donation can achieve. So if you're not sure, maybe your full message, your full mission, I would tie it back to why you're collecting this particular dollar or running this particular campaign. So if you're a shelter that maybe just hasn't come up with the overall messaging for what your full mission is, or all the intricacies and nuances, I think at the very least you can come out with a really strong statement to say what you will actually do. So, it'll provide a program to someone who's looking for employment, or it will literally put a roof over someone's head. So I would take that approach. I'm not 100% sure if that will answer your question. And then in terms of media buzz, I'd say it's really similar. I would try and tie it to what you can do, what you can achieve. If you have underdeveloped messaging, you may not have a long history or a lot of past stories to tell. But if you do have a story to tell, see if there's a way to connect that to your media pitch and creating that buzz. About someone you successfully helped, about a park you helped build, like all of those sorts of things. I think that they can really get people interested, and it can connect back to the reporter's interest. If you can make it sound impactful for your community or your town or something like that.
Great, thank you, Angela. So I think that's all the time we have for questions. We'll wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for submitting them. I'll pass these questions to Angela and to Marko, and hopefully you'll hear back and they'll reach out to you. But for now, I'm just going to leave you with some contact information up on the screen here. So feel free to reach out and look out for other resources that we'll be sending out in the next across a couple of weeks during the Great Canadian Giving Challenge. If you're subscribed to our emails, make sure you look out for those. Follow us on social media and look out for the next webinar. We hope to see you there. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing all your tips. From Marko, walking us through the back end of the tools and showing some really, really beautiful charity examples. Hope everyone found it helpful and inspiring. Good luck with the Great Canadian Giving Challenge, and we can't wait to see what you come up with. Thanks, everyone.